Greetings, hello. I just wanted to take a moment and share my Wednesday. I like to do a sort of a Wednesday reflection, maybe not every Wednesday, but certainly here in week 3, I wanted to take a moment and just pause for a number of things. First, the really good work, really great work that I've seen in this class in week 2. You don't know this, but I do, and that is that nearly every one of you have come through the first 2 weeks with really flying colors, completing all assignments on time and doing your best. And those of you who've had troubles or have challenges have reached out, and I really appreciate it, and I encourage you to do that. We're also coming up into a holiday weekend, and I want to encourage you to take time, not just for what you need to get done here, but to take time for yourself and your family, and know that this pressure of life and school and getting things done is real and exists, but know that I'm here to support you. So there's not going to be terrible repercussions if you take an extra moment for yourself with the work due in week 3. And finally, I wanted to just address a little bit about the week 3 assignment writing notes. And first, I want to remind you that the writing notes assignment is based on your selected reading and not the tuning out essay story that you read in week 2. So we're once again looking at that selected reading, whether it's Amy Tan's Mother Tongue or Broxma's Lessons from the Assembly Line or McFadden's Gender Neutering of Language. And some of the questions may seem like repetitive, like you've been asked them before, and indeed you have. And the idea is that we want, the goal is to look deeper, to keep digging, to check yourself, to get more perspective. One of the best parts of my day, I get up 5 o'clock in the morning, and I do some writing and I do some this and that, but the best part really is around 6:30 I walk my Shelties. I walk my 2 dogs, and we walk around the block, or we take a little longer walk, the same route usually, and I sort of see the same things. But sometimes the sun's a little different, and sometimes I'll look at the same plant, the same tree, the same cactus, and all of a sudden I'm like, wow, there's a tiny little bloom at the end of that cactus, and it's going to flower. And I hadn't noticed that before, and I saw it yesterday, and it may have been there, and I saw it the day before, it might have been there then, but now it really is something that I'd overlooked. So that same kind of seeing it over and over again and seeing the same thing, you need to try to step away a little bit and see it somewhat differently. So that's part of the goal, is to broaden your perspective, and in doing so, when we broaden our perspective, we get sharper critical skills. We see things differently. So that's one of the goals. That is the goal, particularly this week with the writing assignment, and it is a writing plan. So in your plan, you are looking a little deeper at the story, but there's also another layer that's being added here, and that layer is you are in the note generator. You're asked about claims, key points, goals, audience, evidence, feedback, and revision. Well, we've talked about the claims, and we've talked about the key points, and you've talked about your audience and your goals. But when we talk about where you're going to place the evidence, what kind of feedback and what you'll do with the feedback, and what your revision process is, we're going into another territory. We're both asking you to look closer at what you've done and what you've gleaned, what you've got from the reading of the essay that you've chosen. And now we're asking you to look deeper, and we're asking, what are you going to do with that? What are you going to do with that information? you've identified the author's claim, and now you've decided what your reaction is to that, and you've found some points that kind of support the author's claim or support your point as well. Now, where are you going to put that evidence? And not only identify the audience, but how are you going to convince them? What is the tone you're going to use? What are the words you're going to use? What is the approach? Are you going to lay it out logically or chronologically? How are you going to convince that audience? And then, again, feedback. When you get feedback, what kind of feedback would be helpful to you? And how will you go about revising it? So we're looking at the overall progression of what you're going to do with this essay. We're not asking you to just repeat what you've done. We're asking you to take what you've done, look at it closer, and talk a little bit about the planning and the completion of the assignment. Okay, that's kind of a long reflection for Wednesday, but I wanted to share that with you. Sometimes I think it's really helpful for me to hear what's expected and not just read it. So there you are. I wish you all the best this week, and I am here to help you. And please enjoy the weekend. I will be actually in Boston for my nephew's wedding, and it is going to be a great and joyous affair. So I will be available, but some of Saturday into Sunday night, my time will be devoted to my family, and I hope you'll do some of that too. Take care.